Boyfriend and I both witnessed a saucepan flying out of thin air, posted in the Glitch in the Matrix subreddit by Holy Glitchman. This happened last night. We were both really freaked out about it. We can't come up with an explanation. We were both putting dishes away. I was crouched down next to the dishwasher, handing him items one at a time. At one point, I grabbed a glass, turned it over towards him to hand it over. He was still crouched down, butt facing me, putting something away in the cabinet. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a saucepan fall from what seemed much higher than the counter. It looked like it came out of thin air. He caught it out of the corner of his eye and tried catching it. It banged on the floor. Him and I both stared at each other. I knew that I never took a saucepan out of the dishwasher to hand it to him. There was nothing up on the counter. It couldn't have fallen from the counter. Now, while I'm more apt to believe this kind of stuff, my boyfriend is a skeptic. I said to him, please admit that that just happened. He nodded and said he didn't want to talk about it anymore. I tried bringing it up a few hours later and he was still too uneasy to talk about it. First time anything like this has happened, I'm so confused. Glitch in the 1976 New York City Marathon, posted in the Glitch in the Matrix subreddit by Goose0621. Reading this piece in the New Yorker, and I came upon the following glitch, so interesting. Here's where the story gets interesting and urban legends have become difficult to dispel. Many of the 2,000 runners in the 1976 race seem to believe they climbed the steep stairway into Carl Schurz Park, where the Esplanade path ends. Even marathon winner Bill Rogers later asked me, what kind of marathon is it that makes you run up a flight of stairs? Well-known New York City running pioneer and coach Bob Glover insisted to me, no way we didn't run up those stairs. But in fact, we didn't. We actually ran up a ramp a few blocks before the dreaded staircase, crossed a footbridge over the FDR Drive, and then turned north through the Upper East Side. I even have a photo of me and others ascending up the ramp. Why are there so many false memories? Peter Gamache, the author of New York City Marathon, 25 years suggests a possibility. In the popular 1978 movie An Unmarried Woman, Jill Clayburgh runs up a stairway after a long jog up the East River. This image might have entered into the collective consciousness of so many runners that they are convinced they did the same. I'm not exactly sure how to properly tag this, but thought it would be good to share. Everything Changed, posted in the Glitch in the Matrix subreddit by My First Throwaway. Just posted this as a comment in subreddit Paranormal, but then spotted this sub in the other comments. Reposting it here as it may be of interest, but more importantly because we are always searching for others like us. If this is your story too, PM me something about our world that I didn't mention. Here's the post. Sorry for using a throwaway, but this is important, that others can't connect this to me. I'm not sure if this is time travel. In fact, I'm not sure what it was. 5 years ago, everything changed. That's literally the best way to describe it. Nothing incredible happened leading up to it. I finished my coffee at a diner after a long shift at the hospital, went to the room, and when I came out, everything was different, including me. I was an anesthesiologist working primarily in labor and delivery in Skinners, Oregon. Let's start with just those changes. Suddenly I wasn't a doctor, although I still worked in technology. I have a full PhD's and 6 years of experience's worth of knowledge in my head, but knew almost nothing about the technology I now apparently had been working in. Skinners was a city of almost 1 million people. Now it was called Eugene and had a population of less than 200,000. The diner was directly across from my hospital, so the first thing I noticed was the hospital missing. Instead, there was some kind of megastore and a Burger King, and the whole area was far less developed. My clothes had changed, my hair was different, etc., etc. Being a DR, my first reaction was that I was having some sort of psychotic episode and immediately sought help. I went back into the diner, and I remember this with some humor, asked the guy to call me a car. He looked at me funny and then asked if I needed a taxi. The possible time travel bit to this is that, while at the hospital, where I sought help, I learned that the year was now 2010. Earlier in the day, the year had been 2106, yet I hadn't noticed any significant decrease in technology. In fact, the hospital was so familiar I gladly felt somewhat at home there. I have no idea what happened to this day. I have written off the psychotic episode because my new life is very much still in place, and I still retain an impossible amount of knowledge about anesthesiology. I have since found and met online a small number of people who have experienced this. I've also met a lot of wackos. The real ones and I all come from the same world, time, whatever can validate each other's with just a few questions about the other's place. So, unintentional time travel, I'm sure it's possible. All I know is that there's some kind of hole that connects places or times, and it's a lot easier than you might think to fall through. Linked across the globe, posted in the Glitch in the Matrix subreddit by MSH0408. One of my best friends lives on the other side of the globe. Recently, I've had a strange dream, R-rated dream, and I woke up quite confused because dreams like that are very uncommon for me. Later that day, my friend called me to tell me all about how her date went the previous day, and she proceeded to tell me the exact details of my dream, down to what she was wearing. A few weeks later, I had another dream. The same friend, same guy, but this time they were having a very intense conversation that escalated into a massive fight. I woke up with my phone ringing, my friend calling to tell me about the massive fight she just had with the guy. I halted her and told her about what I dreamt as best I could, and she then said something among the lines of "that is precisely what happened." When I was 10, I saw myself and knew. Posted in the Glitch in the Matrix subreddit by Tylon Dane. I was just walking from one room to the next. I had a very crappy childhood. And while just doing a very mundane thing like walking from one room to the next, I had a spontaneous vision of some kind, where I saw myself standing next to myself, although dressed in other clothing. I knew that she lived in a world where the wicked stepfather didn't exist, so she didn't have the life I had. Her life was better, safer, and more normal. And I was glad. I was happy that she was okay. It gave me strength to know that she or I was out there somewhere, just not having to live this life. The whole thing was very fleeting. I didn't tell anyone for years, of course. I was a weird kid, as it was. So I've always felt like I've known this secret since I was a kid. It's nice to know I'm not alone. Instant item disappearance, posted in the Glitch in the Matrix subreddit by Full Swing. It might be mundane, but I had it a few times a few years ago. Studying at my desk, at home, my pen would roll off the side of my desk as they do. But when I looked for it, it wouldn't be there. My desk was metal framed, and my OCD nature means I had no clutter on the floor. There was nowhere the pen could go, and it would be out of sight. I'd seen it drop, but it was out of sight by the time it hit the floor, blocked by the desktop. I would search all over the floor, my trousers, even my shoes, but it had disappeared into thin air. Those pens never reappeared. I would reenact the drop with the same kind of pen and watch it drop, and each time it was on the floor as I would expect. Where did those pens go?